In the world of music, Melanie Thornton was riding the wave of growing fame. With some hits like Be My Lover and Wonderful Dream, she captivated the fans and left a lasting impact on the music world. But after yet another performance at Leipzig, Germany on November 24, 2001, the night ended in a way no one could have expected. Join us as we cover the remarkable story of Melanie Thornton, from her rise to stardom to the horrifying details of that fateful night. Melanie Janine Thornton was born on May 13, 1967 in Charleston, South Carolina. From a young age, little Melanie showed a natural affinity towards music, and her parents, who were supportive of her career, saw her potential and signed her up for vocal training as well as piano lessons at just 6 years old. Growing up in a modest family, Melanie was inspired by powerful female vocalists such as Aretha Franklin and Roberta Flack, where she often used to mimic their songs without missing a single beat. Her talent was clear at the start, and at the age of 20, she financed her own college education by performing in talent shows in small bands. At the same time, she used to sing at a local club called the Peacock Lounge, known for its live jam sessions where she earned about $50 on a good night. Which wasn't much, but she seemed happy doing what she loved. Melanie later recalled a rather funny memory from her struggling days where she would sometimes jump into songs unprepared, yet still managed to win over the audience with her soulful voice and charm. Before fully committing to music, she studied marketing at Hampton University in Virginia, but it soon became clear that her music was her true passion. Then in 1991, at the age of 24, Melanie made a pivotal decision to move to Germany, where she started staying with her sister and her husband, who was in the US Army. With the help of family connections, particularly her Uncle Bob, who was a singer and piano player himself, she was able to explore singing opportunities in Germany nightclubs and was surprised to earn $150 per session, even on a slow night, which was 3 times what she had earned back home. And Melanie's gamble of moving to Germany finally paid off when Frank Farian, the man behind the renowned 1980s duo Milli Vanilli, took notice of her voice. He then took her under his wing and paired her up with rapper Lane McCray to form the iconic Eurodance duo Bouche, which translated to the mouth in French. Between the years 1994 to 1995, the duo skyrocketed in popularity with hits like Be My Lover and Sweet Dreams, which ended up becoming the dance anthem worldwide. In fact, the Be My Lover song in particular received a significant success in the US, where it sold over 6 million copies worldwide and even won the ASCAP Award for the most played song in America in 1996. Not many know this, but despite having a serious pop star persona on stage, Melanie had a rather cheerful personality offstage, where she would sometimes crack jokes to lighten up the atmosphere during her recording sessions. She didn't take herself too seriously, her co-workers as well as her loved ones often used to say. Then in February of 1999, she decided to leave the duo and pursue a solo career, where she could have more creative freedom and explore different sounds. And shortly thereafter, she started working toward her solo album with a more mature sound than her previous Eurodance style. Meanwhile, some of her singles, such as Love How You Love Me and Heartbeat, gained major success in Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. And although her most awaited album, Ready to Fly, received some modest traction, her single, Wonderful Dream, became particularly popular after Coca Cola chose it for their holiday commercial. Because of heavy television and radio exposure, Melanie gained significant attraction and popularity, which also led to the tour opportunity that unfortunately ended in a tragedy. In late 2001, during the Coca Cola Christmas tour, Melanie Thornton, along with Eurodance group Passion Fruit, was scheduled to perform in major cities of Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. Her concert in Leipzig, Germany on November 24th concluded with her singing one of her most iconic songs, Be My Lover. Strangely enough, Melanie Thornton's final words before leaving the venue that night were, "You should live life to the fullest, because tomorrow's not promised." Little did anyone realize that this statement would become a haunting reality just a few hours later. On the same night, Melanie was scheduled to depart from Berlin's Tegel Airport for Zurich, Switzerland, where her next performance was about to take place, and she was also scheduled for a television appearance on TV3's entertainment show, Die Bar. That being said, Melanie and her entourage were running late to board their Crossair flight 3597, which was a 1996 model of Avro 146 RJ100 with a capacity of approximately 100 passengers. According to some eyewitnesses and media reports, the flight was deliberately held at the gate for a few minutes because the group had called ahead and requested the airport authorities to wait for them. and considering their celebrity status as well as the highly publicized Coca Cola Christmas tour schedule, the flight officials made an exception. The plane carried a total of 28 passengers and 2 pilots, including Melanie, her road manager, sound technician, 2 background dancers, and 3 members of the Passion Fruit group. At 8:52 p.m., the flight took off at the runway, and Melanie, who usually flew business class, was seated at 19F next to the right wing because she was among the last to board and the business class seats were already occupied. Even though things weren't perfect, she greeted everyone around her warmly, put her headphones on, and started listening to the Acoustic Soul album to relax and get her mind ready for the busy day ahead. However, after what seemed like 1 hour into the flight, when the aircraft was traveling at an altitude of approximately 27,000 feet and was just miles away from Zurich Airport, weather conditions suddenly worsened, with poor visibility and heavy snowfall. The pilots were originally scheduled to make a precision instrument landing system approach to runway 14, but because of Swiss noise abatement regulations, which took effect after 10 p.m. local time, air traffic control redirected them to runway 28. That being said, this particular runway didn't have an automatic system to guide the airplane smoothly all the way down to the runway. Instead, the pilots had to gradually lower the plane in steps and make sure they stayed high enough to safely fly over obstacles such as hills and trees. At 10:06 p.m. local time, because of poor visibility, Captain Hans Lutz started descending and at some point went below the minimum descent altitude of 2,400 feet. "I have ground contact, we are continuing on," he said to the first officer, Stefan. However, what he initially thought was ground contact on the runway and start of approach lights turned out to be the hillside terrain. And because of this major misunderstanding, he started descending about 12,000 feet per minute, where the aircraft was still 5 miles away from the runway. However, when Captain Lutz realized his mistake, it was already too late. In a last-ditch effort, he shouted, "Go around," and immediately tried to climb away. Just 2 seconds after applying go-around power, the aircraft struck trees on the hillside near Basserdorf with devastating force. The right wing, particularly near Melanie's side, hit the tall trees and was immediately torn off. The tremendous impact ruptured the fuel tank almost immediately, and within seconds, it ignited a massive fire. Inside the cabin, chaos broke out where passengers started screaming while desperately trying to escape the aircraft. Fortunately, the tail section of the airplane stayed intact, which allowed 9 people who were initially seated at the back to escape with minor injuries. Sadly, Melanie, who was seated near the first point of impact, did not make it out and died at the age of 34. Local residents as well as witnesses quickly reported the crash, and emergency services including firefighters, police department, paramedics, and mountain rescue teams arrived at the scene almost immediately despite the poor weather conditions. The medical team assessed the situation and started treating the initial survivors who ran toward them after spotting the blue light of their flashlights. The firestorm from the crash had spread over a wide area, and it took about 17 minutes for firefighters to bring the situation under control. And after what seemed like hours of searching the forest in snowy conditions, authorities successfully rescued all the remaining survivors and brought them to safety. The Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau arrived almost immediately after the crash and recovered the wreckage, the flight data recorder and cockpit voice recorder, which revealed many details about what went wrong that night. The primary cause of death for Melanie was revealed to be major burn injuries and smoke inhalation, along with a possible blunt force trauma to the head. There's a rule in aviation that says pilots must stop descending at 2,400 feet and level off until they can see the runway. But Captain Lutz made a crucial mistake by descending below that altitude without having the runway in sight. Plus, the first officer, Stefan Lower, who was quite inexperienced with only 490 hours of flight time, never questioned or even challenged Captain Lutz's decision, perhaps because of the strong cockpit hierarchy. According to the initial report, although Captain Lutz had over 19,500 hours of experience, he had a history of poorly handled landings. Yet Crossair never properly supervised or disciplined him after the previous incidents. Recordings retrieved from the black box revealed that about 2 seconds before the impact, the proximity warning system sounded emergency alerts such as pull up, too low, and sink rate, which was when the captain realized the full gravity of his mistake. It was indeed a devastating crash where the aircraft skidded for approximately 656 feet before coming to a halt. And although the final report clearly stated this whole tragic incident as pilot error, there was just one thing which caught the attention of many people. The approach charts the pilots used for Zurich Airport lacked important details about the hills and terrain near the runway, which confused even the experienced pilots in the past. In the aftermath of this tragic incident, the airport and aviation authorities updated their approach charts to include more detailed terrain information. Plus, in the later time, the approach procedure for runway 28 was made simpler and easier for pilots to follow. The authorities also increased pilot training to ensure crews paid close attention to the surrounding terrain and strictly followed the minimum safe altitude during their approach. On November 30th, 2001, Melanie's memorial service took place in Kaiser Wilhelm Memorial Church in Berlin, Germany, which was attended by family, friends, as well as fans from all over the world. After the service, Melanie was laid to rest in her hometown at the Mount Pleasant Memorial Gardens in Charleston County, South Carolina. And although Melanie's untimely passing happened on the eve of Christmas season, Coca Cola chose to air the commercial featuring her song, Wonderful Dream, as planned. Since 2001, this original commercial has been broadcasted every year around Christmas in Germany, and the song has consistently appeared on the German singles charts. Melanie was without a doubt an exceptional singer, who not only inspired many people, but also showed unwavering dedication to her passion. I know we don't have any guarantee that we're going to live tomorrow. That's why I live every day as if it was my last. She truly lived by those words, shining brightly and inspiring others on the way.